I'm Philip Siegel. I was the executive producer of the '96 Paul McGann movie, Doctor Who, that aired on the Fox network. And for over 25 years, more actually, almost 30, this police box has been in my custody, but out of the eyes of the general public. And most people don't know its origins and why it was actually constructed. And so I thought it would be fun to create a short video just to sort of share this with you and go into details about it and give you a real sort of detailed tour and a look around it, and we'll get close to it in a minute. This police box was constructed in Vancouver, British Columbia during pre-production of the film. The sole purpose of this miniature was for the main title sequence that you see when we first see the Tardis spinning in space. It was not CG, it was not an effect, it was this miniature. It was produced lovingly by a young Polish artisan. He was in his 20s, and he did this in about 3 weeks. And he copied the plans from the box that was given us from from the BBC. At the time, we were told it was the Tom Baker box. But then we were told it was the John Pertwee box. So I'm not entirely sure where the plans came from, but there were some changes and additions that he made to sort of make it his own, little details. So when a lot of people have seen a couple of photos that I've shared with them over the years, not just on my Instagram account, Spruverse, but also just from the book I wrote called Doctor Who Regeneration, where I talk about this, and there are some photos in there, but they've asked me, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And, you know, when you have an opportunity to add to folklore and create something new, it's fun to make things your own. And so this box was lovingly produced on that basis. It was never used for anything else in the film. It may have been for the series. We may have kept it to one side and used it for other things, but it was never used again in the film. That was it. It was brought to Los Angeles, where the main title sequence was filmed, and then it was put in its crate, this box, and it was sealed up, and it was kept under my careful eye, just to make sure it didn't disappear, as a lot of props do. A lot of people ask me about a lot of the sets from the film. Where did they end up? You know, sadly, a lot of them were broken up. Some were taken. Some things have been lovingly restored. But at the end of the day, when it's just a film and not a series, studios rarely care about what happens to the sets once the film is completed. Okay, so let's take a closer look and talk about some of the details. First of all, how big is it? Okay, so its base measures approximately 14 inches in length. From the platform, side to side, it measures approximately 1 foot, 12 and a quarter inches. 12 and a quarter inches. And its height from base to the roof is 26 inches. And from the base to the very top of the light, it measures approximately 31, just about 31 inches. So that's to give you some details. The actual construction was made of wood. It's all pine construction with a texture coat on the outside. Those are the same kinds of texture coats that you'll see put on walls. It was plaster, and it was dried to give it this texture, to sort of give it that aged look, because a lot of the police boxes over the years were never sanded and sealed. They were just painted over and over and over again. I do not have an exact color match for this blue. I apologize. But over the years, I can tell you, it's gotten a little darker. But at the time, it did have a dirty stain put on it just to give it some wear. The windows themselves are acrylic. We have some clear, and then we have what's called some, it looks like sort of bubble glass, but what they actually did was they took the nib of a soldering iron and just simply melted the clear. So you have these different looks. That's how that was achieved. The sign for the police box was lovingly created, as all signs are in a CAD program. This was obviously where the phone was kept for these boxes. For those of you who don't know the history of these boxes, they were designed by an American in New York City. They didn't come to England until well after I think about 1880. So it's an interesting history. It was actually an American invention, not a British invention. And I thought that was really interesting because at the time when I was getting ready to make the film, Fox did not want me to use the police box. They thought it was tired and old. They said, come up with a new look for his spaceship. And I said, first of all, it's not a spaceship, it's a time machine. And second of all, there's a history here. There's a reason why this police box looks the way it does. And as we all know, that was because his cloaking device failed and it was never able to materialize as anything else. And so, of course, we have the traditional police box, which I think is the finest time machine in the universe. And that is my opinion. All the handles on this are handmade. They're made of brass, and they have been patinaed just a little bit to age them. The hinges themselves, all handmade, which I think is just a beautiful touch. Look at the keyhole, all handmade. And of course, the handle to the door itself is a little latch handle from a jewelry box, which I thought was always was beautiful. Each side of the box is basically the same. But I'll turn them so you can see each side, and you can see that the glass panels are randomly put in here. But I think it's fun for you to see each side. Surprisingly, it's in great shape for being almost 30 years old. I have a little bit of failure here on one of the glass that has to be restored. And so we're going to have to do that. And I'll turn it to the last side so that you can see all four sides. And there you go. So now, come in a little closer and we'll look at this lamp, because this lamp has been the bone of contention for a lot of people. It's obviously, this lamp is modeled after an old seafaring lamp. And what we have here is we have a turned piece of acrylic tubing that was put on a lathe, and then it was simply scored with a chisel. That's how this was created. The outside is all handmade. The wire and the patinaed coppered top and bottom, all handmade. And then of course, the 4 posts that encase it in the top of the lamp. Now, for production, the light in here would flash, and the lights would come up in the windows. Sadly, that system has broken, so I need to sort of spend some time, and I need to restore it. So we're going to do that. The clicker, interestingly enough, was from an indicator in a car. I think at the time it was a Ford Escort. And it was just a simple clicker unit that was picked up at a local auto body shop. And that clicker, you could actually hear it on stage. It would click, 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 as if it was a left or right turn indicator. But that was what caused the flash. And that's what you saw in the main title. It was not altered in any way with a special effect. So that was how we produced the light. The way this was packed and shipped was actually quite ingenious. This top comes off, and I'm going to take it off for you right now. Now, I have disconnected it from its light because we're going to put new lights in it. But the way it was shipped is this would be turned over like this, and that's how it dropped in the box. So nothing would break. Very, very clever. You can see the top of this is simply, it's about 3.5 to 4 mil card, plastic card. It's the same card you get at hobby shops. That's how this was created. The internal structure was card as well, and it was produced in such a way that you could actually remove it. And I'll do that carefully now so you can see how clever that is. And again, this was all done for shipping so that when it left Vancouver and came to LA, nothing would be damaged, and nothing was. Look on the inside, because nothing has been touched. These old fluorescent tubes, you can see, that were taped. And look, the gaffer's tape is still in here from the shoot. Nothing has been touched. It's pure. The transformer, you can see down here. And just to look, this was the police light. As you can see, it had, over the years, I mean, it had blown. None of this is working correctly. But we're going to get it working because we have the technology to do that now. And interestingly enough, 30 years ago, they didn't have SMD tape and LEDs. So, you know, this would get very, very hot, as you can imagine. The inside, as you can see here, has some diffusing screen. It's the original screen that was used in the production. Nothing has been touched. Nothing has been changed. It's absolutely as it was. And then the base of the Tardis has it has a hole, and that hole is simply there for the pole that attached it to the green screen effect for it to spin. It was put on an angle. The pole could be adjusted at any angle we wanted it to, and then it was also very slowly rotated. And that was how we created the effect for the main title sequence. We were in the studio for about half a day for what is less than 35, 40 seconds of film. Extraordinary, but that's the way things were done when it was still a world of practical effects. And there's something about that I love. We did use CG in the film. The master, when he turned into the snake, obviously was all CG, but this was the practical effect, the way it should have been, in my opinion. I'm really proud to have this here with me. There is some discussion about taking it back to the UK to spend some time at a science fiction museum up north. I'm discussing that right now, but it's going to be pretty hard for me to let it go. But I think it belongs to everybody. Should get a chance to see it and enjoy it. So that's it. That's a complete tour of this incredible TARDIS. I hope you've enjoyed this brief Spruverse video. And I look forward to obviously getting back to the bench and building something, as I like to say. But from me to all of you, be well, be safe, build something, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.